Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. In both the Lynn life and the Jamie body mind, the authorized souls remain only child, souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the Search for Truth rules given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us. And those rules include looking up to wiser minds above, asking up to those wiser minds, what now in order to, and then you can insert anything that is an aspect of your soul plan and the soul plan of the host life in which you have taken residence. If there's not an intersection of interest, in answer to the question, what if there's not an intersection of interest, then you aren't in the right place. It isn't a match. You have just landed someplace where you aren't supposed to be. So if you find no intersection of interest, then possibly what's going on, this is a discussion room. Somebody else is interjecting and saying possibly what's going on is that you're forgetting to take into account the astral drift currents, and there are actual riptides in the astrals.
That's true.
And you might be someplace that is not at all where you intend to be. And that is somebody's best guess of what's going on with you, is that you've gotten caught in the riptides that are very real, and they're documented extremely well in the compendium of experiments and results from the deeper, denser dimensions. Have you read that compendium?
It does not feel like they've read the compendium.
No, but they do acknowledge its existence.
That's true.
That's progress, I guess. All right. If there's not an intersection of interest, then you aren't in your right place, and the best thing that you can do is clean up your mess, pick up your things, clean up your mess, leave the host life better than it was when you came in. They say they don't intend to do that.
That is what they
right.
say.
We'll leave it as clean as it was when you came in. And leave, go back up to above the poison clouds, sight down again, this time calculate in the effects of the astral riptides and see if you can get to your intended destination. That's the best thing you can do. They don't know how to get back upstairs.
No, they don't. It feels like they're waiting for a cab or for someone to come pick them up.
They're waiting for a lift. Somebody else is talking, and they're talking about these areas that it looks like souls are lined up for the rides at Busch Gardens.
Yes, it's true.
And somebody's asking what we make of it, and this same soul is continuing. This soul has been spending a lot of time trying to figure this out and believes that what's happened is that the wizard, in his wisdom, and we think it was wise,
that's true,
lined up exactly 1 million souls, 1,000,000 souls, in a new experiment of 1 million souls, to come in quickly through these portals into the depths. And he thought, the wizard thought, 100,000 souls, give or take, would put on the gloves and get to work.
That's true.
And to his horror and dismay, he saw that 0 put on the gloves and went to work. The souls sadly don't seem to want to work, and that's unfortunate and ugly, but still true. And now what's happened is those souls kind of stepped into the elevator shaft of an interdimensional connection and fell so much deeper than they expected to fall. They thought they were dropping down one dimension, and whoosh, they've blasted right on down into maybe the subatomic levels of this dimension, which was already presumably subatomic to something relevant to this discussion.
That's true.
And now those presences have no idea how to get back home, and they're lining up in these places that look like Busch Gardens line waiting areas. And until we pump them out, nobody seems to be getting out of there, which kind of suggests that nobody else is providing uplift.
That's true.
And this, we think, is interesting. Is there anybody else up there providing uplift to the souls that came into the depths on the wizard's invitation to come in and help? And it's true that they have neglected to help, and they're not even exerting effort on their own behalf to get out, which is offensive. But is anybody else providing uplift? We're actually interested. I see a hand up there who's saying they are. It's a very small hand.
I see a small hand.
Hi. Thank
you.
you.
He has buckets.
Buckets. Okay, well, let's send these presences up there, because while they're sitting around down here refusing to acknowledge that reality counts, they're definitely not making it better for planet Earth, Ground Zero, or wherever they are.
That's true.
They're not in Ground Zero. They're in the cellular and molecular and subatomic realms.
That's true.
They're definitely making it worse in the foundations of life. Why do you ask? And for whom is the message? Pump it up to whoever is watching. That's a poor way of saying it. Somebody's saying, "Excuse me, may I suggest a correction?" And it's the same, one of these same smaller presences who are very respectful and appropriate and hardworking and usually correct, and I think we should listen to them.
That's true.
Saying, may make a correction. There are a lot of people listening, and those presences are not necessarily well-intentioned. Why don't you send it up to the highest presence we can connect with right now, who really wants to reestablish Search for Truth space? We could start there.
That's true.
Which way is up, for example? Oh, there's a straightening up.
Oh, that's true.
Much better. Which way is up?
Which way is up?
Oh, now there are presences interested in that inquiry of which way is up, which is an improvement over the last couple of days.
That's true.
That's good. Which way is up? There's a straightening up again.
That's true.
Which way is up?
Which way is up?
Just keep pumping up. And now we can pump up these souls who look like they're waiting for rides at Busch Gardens through the portal that's up. Here we go. And to the presences we say, fly up as high as ever you can, and when you start to fall down, as is inevitable, get off at that level. Tell the presences that you find there what happened to you. Ask them why it happened that way, and ask if they will give you a boost so that you could go up higher to try and get back home. Pick up your lives where you left them. These presences are lazy. They just want to be taken like a roller coaster or something.
That's true.
And they were little grumpy pants. It's like, I was promised a good ride. And well, friend, you came too far. The good ride is up there. That's where you were promised. You were supposed to drop down a level, and you dropped 50 dimensions or 1,000 dimensions when you were supposed to just drop a couple dimensions. You didn't get off at the right stop. You missed your stop, and now you're way too far, and none of these people around here, meaning other souls, have any contracts to help you. The people who have contracts to help you are way the heck up there, so we suggest you get up there to where the contracts actually are valid before you start crying foul.
That's true.
Take responsibility for yourself, friend. That's our best advice to you. And now somebody else is taking the microphone, or their microphone is going live, and they're saying, this is actually our best advice to everybody, is first begin to take responsibility for yourself, but immediately move past that and take responsibility for yourself and for the greater good and for the collective, for self and for the collective, because if we pause too long in that taking responsibility for myself mode, it turns selfish and ugly, and it happens just like that. And so don't pause there. Take responsibility for myself and for someone else. Turn around and help somebody. Turn around and help the dispossessed, those who have no voice, those who are being oppressed, those that it looks like God has turned a blind eye to. Think about those 2,300 children stolen from their parents in a country that probably speaks a different language than their language of origin, and they are just shoved in warehouses or put into the foster system. Now, friends, let's really focus on the fact that 80% of the children sold into the thriving sex trade in North America come out of the foster care system. First, why is there a sex trade industry in North America that thrives on children? And second, why are those children coming out of the foster care system? Don't we want to think about this? Shouldn't we be having a national conversation about this? What now to help well-intentioned guardian angels do their jobs? What now to help well-intentioned guardian angels do their jobs? Stretching longer, pumping up, and delivering these people, souls who are hanging around waiting for rides. Let's get them up as high as we can, because they're making it worse here, not better. And somebody's asking why that is. We think it's making things worse here because these souls don't want to acknowledge that reality actually matters.
Oh, that's true.
And when souls don't want to acknowledge that reality actually matters, they start to impose their fantastical ideas on situations.
That's true.
And fantasies only work within the context of the fantasy. They don't help alive. Fantasies are an ineffective way to go about making plans.
That's true.
Anything that begins with "bring your unicorn" isn't going to end well.
That's true.
No disrespect intended to unicorns.
No, that's true.
Or anybody, really. But the point is that acknowledging reality actually matters, and presences who are not ready to acknowledge that nothing matters more than survival of the truth are hazards on the course of life, and we ask them to return to the fantasy dimensions from whence they came.
That's true.
And bring their fantasies with them, so which they're not willing to do. They're just lazy, and if they could see themselves as we can see them, I think they would be embarrassed.
That's true.
It's unfortunate. For whom is this message? Why do you ask? Is anyone up there ready to acknowledge that nothing matters more than survival of the truth? I do see a little hand.
I see a very small hand.
Kind of to the right, back, and way up high. Now we remember that perspective shifts our perception of size.
That's
that
true.
hand is small, but it could be just way far away, way up high.
That's true.
So we could probably complete the turn, do like a somersault, like a swimming dive, like when you flip turn when you get to the end of the pool.
Yeah.
And see if we can connect up. And I actually don't think that's a small hand. I just think it's far away.
That's true.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's aim this flow of souls up to them. Here's some data points. You know what? I'm tired of working with these lazy souls. Are there any refugees? Anybody who really wants to get to the light? Here we go. Let's work with the refugees.
That's really good.
Send them up to the light. Say, get going. There's your target. Go for it. Here, we'll give you as much uplift as we can. And to the wizard, we say, look, we're really sorry. We were trying to get your those who answered your call back upstairs, but they're so lazy they're not willing to exert any effort on their own behalf, and so why do they get the first lift out of here? They had their chance. They didn't take their chance. Now we're sending out the refugees.
That's true.
And maybe the refugees will get some current going upward, and then these lazy people can just ride the currents up. But we've got to get some currents going. What now to reestablish upward flow? Just keep pumping up these refugees. This other soul is saying, listen, I'm not letting go of this conversation about the foster children.
I hear them.
All right. What is it? Something isn't true about what that person is saying. I can tell that there's data missing.
That's true.
Friend, I think you need to consider Who's doing that? That was a move by the Republican-controlled executive branch of the government, supported by the Republican-controlled legislature
That's
and
true.
the Republican-controlled judiciary.
That's true.
And so you need to actually start looking at the Republican Party. And I think what you're saying is that the Christians will solve this. No,
That's what he's saying.
the Christians caused it. I'm sorry. Why don't you look at who votes for the NRA? It's those same bad people that you're calling Christians. Unfortunately, they're bad people. They call themselves good people, and they want to think of themselves as good people.
That's true.
But they support the NRA, and they support stealing children from their parents, and they're allowing the foster care system to feed the sex trade.
That's true.
Do you want to think about that?